Welcome back. It's time now for Media Watch, which means one name, James Creedon. How are you, sir?
I'm all right, and Vladimir Putin actually. But
it's two names. I think there may be more
it's
names
the
to
only
come,
link,
yeah?
really, the fact that he's in this slot.
Okay, go ahead.
Anyway.
Vladimir Putin.
Well, the American press, the Russian press, European, everybody's been talking about what happened this weekend, where basically the crown has been passed back to Vladimir Putin from Medvedev. Now, this is a piece in the New York Times written by Viktor Erofeyev. Now, he's a Russian writer, and he says that basically the election has already taken place. Medvedev announced over the weekend that he wasn't going to contest Putin for the president's job next time round, Putin, who was already president some years back. And so Medvedev did not betray his senior colleague, they say. He's wondering, was there a pact from the very, very beginning, or was it sometime this summer that the decision was taken? He says that he heard in Moscow over the summer that the two boys went cycling together, and Medvedev looked stunned on his return. He kind of leaves that, he doesn't say why he thinks he looked stunned. He kind of leaves it to us to interpret
Maybe he
why
had
that
a puncture or something.
I don't know.
Maybe it was something like that, or he fell off.
Who knows? Who knows what happened? In any case, what's interesting here too is he says that Russians really aren't upset by this. Putin is very popular. Even if Medvedev had contested him, Putin would still have won, basically.
This is playing with the whole sort of the constitution of Russia, isn't it? Where if you're president, you can't stand again.
For more than two terms.
Putin wants to come back and basically establish his empire.
And he's saying, while yes, there's a lot of corruption, while yes, there are a lot of problems with Putin, there were a lot of problems, he's a pragmatist, and he brought in a lot of freedoms in the early 2000s, and 80% of Russians are more nationalistic and more xenophobic than he is. So he's basically, what he's saying is, even though he's a soft dictator, they're the words he used, there's a lot worse out there than Vladimir Putin.
And like you say, he enjoys great popularity, doesn't he? You know, pop songs about him, that kind of thing. You know, 99% of Russian women would like to have Putin as their boyfriend. You know, married or not, I don't know, but there you go.
You know, very popular guy. So he's kind of, I suppose, putting a bit of relativity into the whole situation.
Indeed. Okay. Now, Carla Bruni.
Yes, indeed.
Wife of Nicolas Sarkozy.
Yes.
First Lady of France.
That's right, and pregnant by him.
Bounteous.
She appeared on the BBC. You can see it here, the Le Parisien is talking about it. Of course, the BBC's website is talking about it too. And they're calling him now Nicolas Le Jardinier, which they took from the BBC website, Sarkozy the gardener. Now, why is he suddenly Sarkozy the gardener? And Twitter, they're joking about it as well. Nicolas Sarkozy clearly has missed out on his vocation as a gardener. In any case, she said that she kind of fell for him because he knew all of the names for the flowers in the garden of the Elysee Palace.
All the names?
In Latin.
Oh, in Latin?
In Latin.
Wow, that's going some.
When I met him walking around the garden in the Palais of the Elysee, he kept giving me all the names of the flowers. He knew all the Latin names, all the details about tulips and roses. I said, I must marry this man. He's not just the president, he knows flowers' names in Latin.
Do you know any flowers' names in Latin?
I don't,
James?
actually.
No?
And I have a lot less to do, I suppose, than the President of France. But anyway, he found the time to learn that off. I reckon he just learned them before he took her out for the walk in the garden. You know what I mean?
I don't know.
It's an old trick.
I think it's going some to sort of like learn all the Latin names of flowers just like that. I think it's maybe something that's a lifelong passion. I don't know.
Possibly.
But he was brought up in the city, wasn't he? He's a city boy, like from the 17th arrondissement in Paris. So
you wouldn't expect that he'd
maybe
be so well learned.
A window box or something, all the flowers in that. You know?
Maybe he did. Who
Possible,
knows?
isn't it? You
Who knows?
Okay, we're going to Argentina next.
That's right. Now, this
Great
is
stuff.
just very quickly.
Is it rugby? It's not rugby.
It's not rugby.
No.
It's sort of a media story.
Okay.
And basically, 6 newspapers in the country have been given subpoenas. The government is targeting them because of their reporting on inflation figures. Now,
Hang on. So this is the government really sort of clamping down on the press.
That's essentially what's going on here. And Cristina Fernandez, this is what they're saying anyway in the Washington Post, has put pressure on a judge to subpoena these papers because they're reporting on 20% inflation in Argentina, which is huge. Now, the government figures are 9.8%, way, 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 way lower. So apparently, the government, because they're worried about these inflation figures becoming public, are putting pressure on these newspaper editors. And you can see the Washington Post is talking about it here. And also, this website, this is an association of Argentine editors, and they're calling it censorship. So it's a big story in Argentina at the moment, censorship of the press.
Okay, James, we need to leave it there. Thank you very much
Thanks,
indeed. A very serious story to end on there. James Creedon with Media Watch. We have much more to come here in France 24, of course, including all the sport with the latest from the Rugby World Cup. And we have some culture for you too. And, of course, all the news. The French team, their 15's been named for their next game. Can they revive some French flair and put some pride back in the French cock? See you soon.